The database folder plugin is going to change the way you use Obsidian. It looks through a selected folder, tag, or query, looks for the properties inside the page, so that's the YAML or front matter of your page, and you can use that information to filter the database view. So I'm looking for the tags that contain blog, and then looking for the done property, where it's false, so not complete. And then I've changed the property type to a checkbox. You can see we've got text, number, select, tags, checkbox, date, and date time. If I then remove the done filter, you can see it's a tickable tick box, just like in Notion. The tag property is editable, again, just like in Notion. The date property has a date picker, again, just like in Notion. But the tasks are from a data view query, so they look for the tasks in the page automatically. It then surfaces them in this property. I can then click on them. I can tick them off in this view, which you can't do in Notion. There is a lot more to this plugin that I will explore in a future video, but the reason I'm sharing that with you in this video is because the property information, so the YAML or front matter information that you can see up at the top of the pages, is specific to using that plugin. My Start Here page has two purposes. One is for those of you that go to my Obsidian Publish to see all of my notes that are published online. It gives you a bit of a navigation sort of queue, and also serves as my documentation for my working notes. And all of these are my, what I would class as working notes. They're notes that I'm working on, which is where I put all of the source information together. So if I want to look for anything about statistics, it's in there. Physical health, in there. Sleep, in there, etc., etc. I'll go into depth in some of these later on. And what all of this is my home workspace. So irrespective of what I do, so if I get rid of any of these pages and drag this around, I can then go back to that default workspace by using the workspace plugin. I use a hotkey and then go to home. In my home workspace, I have my other dashboard pages. So you can see down here in my tags, I have 5 dashboard pages. I have content ideas, which is there, homepage there, researcher, task dashboard, and Volcraft. The content ideas page is pretty self-explanatory. It has all my content ideas, but it uses data view queries to find them. So it's looking for all of the tasks in my vault where they contain tags that is content video and that the task is incomplete. If I was to control click on any of these, it will bring up the page where it was added. So this was in my daily log, and you can see there is the task that I'm yet to do. And you can imagine the blog ideas is exactly the same thing, but looks for the blog tag instead. At the bottom of the page, I have a to-do section, and this is where I have a history log of all of the tasks that I've done that's relevant to this page. And you'll see this consistent throughout my vault, where all of the actions, the questions, the tasks will go in the to-do section. When I complete a task through the data view query that I've completed it from, which could be at the top of the page or in any other page where the task is being surfaced, it will add a tick box and a date as to when I completed it. The created date of any task is added by me automatically through a template, which I'll go through later on. My researcher dashboard is for all of the research that I'm looking to do. Now, this page is a working page that inside my Vaultcraft series on the YouTube channel, you will see me develop over time. And the goal for this page eventually is to show all of those working notes that I have in my home page that are down here, but I want to show them inside of a data view query that has a quality level, a quality value to the research page. I have this query that's looking for any page that isn't tagged, so at the moment it's just that database page that I showed you at the beginning with the plugin, but this makes sure that all the pages are tagged. I then have all of the pages that I need to rate, so I need to give them a value. I need to work out what that value is, and you can see there's the data view query to make sure I don't miss anything. And you can see I'm making a table, and I'm getting rid of the ID because I want to add my own ID. Use file link as, and then working, because I want this data view to be called working, and I'm looking for anything from note working. Then at the bottom of my research page, I have my unlinked sources, which is also in my daily note, which I'll go to in a minute. But these are all the videos, the podcasts, the blogs, the academic articles that I've read and taken notes on. You can see there's some notes in there, but I haven't linked it to a project or a working note. Looking at the data view query, I'm making a table. Again, I'm removing the name because I want to call it something I want. File link as unlinked sources. Then I'm looking for notes from the notes source tag. Then I don't want it to be from the templates folder, and I don't want it to be from the people tag. And I'm looking for anything from a note source where it doesn't contain a file in link with file tags of note working. So it takes a source page, looks at the file in links, so the backlinks to the page, looks at the tags of those pages to see if note working is in there. And if it's not, then I want it to show. If we take a look at this first video, we open it up, you can see it's got one in link, and it's going to look for the tags in this in link. But because it's a daily log, there is no tag in this page, which means it doesn't have a note working tag, which means this where clause is true, meaning it's going to show up, which is why it shows in the search there. My task dashboard is basically a catch-all for all of the tasks that I haven't done. So this is looking for tasks that are 1 week or older than 1 week and I haven't completed them. So again, it's looking for the task through all of my vault from not content, because I don't want it to grab all the content ideas because they're not tasks that I really need to do, and not working because I'm going to have questions and things I want to explore in those notes that again, I don't want to do them all, and not in dashboard because those tasks will be done when the project is done or when the dashboard is edited. I'm looking for tasks where they're not complete, of course, where the created time is smaller than today minus 1 week. So it looks at today's date, takes off a week, and that is the date that it looks for, whether it's smaller than or not. I'm also making sure that the task has a created date on it. If the task doesn't have a created date on it, then it will go into this view where it says no created date, which at the moment is here. So very much like the last one, you've got looking for all of the tasks from not in the templates folder, because templates folders have got loads of tasks that I don't need to look for, and get rid of the content, where status is incomplete, where file name is not equal to markdown formatting. So I have a markdown formatting page that has tasks in it to show how to make tasks, but I don't want them to show up in here because it's not for me, it's for a help documentation. Then the actual where clause that I'm looking for, which is the not created date. So if there's no created, then show it. And I'm grouping the results by file link. And what that does is it shows me what the page is, and it has a link to that page as to where the task is. So you can see it's right there. I then have a recently completed task section for ticking off tasks that I completed by accident or anything like that. And that looks for tasks where they're complete, sorted by completion date. And I limit it to 30 because otherwise there's going to be hundreds there. The Vaultcraft dashboard is essentially how I manage, monitor, and change my Obsidian Vault. You can see I want to explore some of the plugins, so there are lots of community plugins and I want to go through some of them to see if I want to add them or take them away. I then have a goal of adding a scoring system, so those metrics that I'm adding to the research page inside of my dashboard, I want to bring up an experience level or a prestige level, something like that to gamify my vault, something I will do eventually. And then I have loads of other actions and ideas and things that I would like to add or change or modify in my vault, which isn't just Obsidian specific. It could be Remnote or Roam or Notion or any other app. But essentially, this is a page of things I would like to add to my PKM note-taking app system thing or change, evolve in some way. So they're not tasks I need to do now. They're just ideas that I've had. And now we're at my daily log journal page, and this page is probably the one that's going to change the most because each day I may want to have a different query, a different list of things I want to do, but it's generally consistent. Now we have actions, projects, and notes. So this is the same query from the research page. The daily log is where I actually log things that have happened during the day, so all the sources, the actions, the ideas will all go in here. So if we look at yesterday, you can see I've got 4 tasks that I decided, yeah, I'm going to add that in, and then I consumed 2 pieces of content. This is the one that we went through earlier. Then I have my actions, which are tasks that I should be looking at doing either today or I've forgot to do yesterday. And it's looking for tasks not from the working note hashtag, where they're incomplete, where they were created within the last week, where the tags don't contain content, sorted by created, then priority, if I have a priority on the task, then by the due date of the task. In the project inbox, these views may be replaced by that plugin that I showed at the beginning of the video because I can't see the tasks here. I can't see a list of the tasks here and I can't tick them off. Or I can go hover over and then see them in the view here, which is what I was doing previously. But for now, when I go into the data view, I'm looking for a table, removing the ID, adding file links so I can ID my own column, calling it videos, and then adding a second column, deadline. And this deadline is property information inside the pages. So you can see at the top of the Vaultcraft episode 3, which is what I'm recording right now, we've got property information. We've got the tags, we've got the deadline, and then we've got the done false, which was the tick box. And in the data view, it's looking for projects, not from the templates folder because I don't need the templates in my project inbox, and specifically content videos. I'm then sorting them by that deadline property, so even if the deadline wasn't there, it would still do the sort properly, it's just I want to see them. This is looking at all of the tasks in the page, looking to see if they are completed and mapping them all together. So instead of saying yes, no, yes, yes, no, it's putting them all together into either a yes or a no. Are they all complete or are they not all complete? And that's being called all completed. And then I'm looking for where all completed is false. So when there are things I need to do, so when there aren't all of the tasks completed, I still have something to do, I want it to show. And if we hover over, you can see I've got 4 tasks to do in this project, 4 to do in this one, and so on and so forth. In the blog inbox, it's exactly the same, except I've named it blogs instead of videos, and I'm looking for the hashtag blog instead of hashtag video. And in other, it's the same. I'm looking for other instead of blog or video, but I'm removing, so I'm saying not with the exclamation mark, from blog and not from video, so that's everything else. These daily notes are automatically created through the Daily Notes core plugin that I use. I have the default format. They go into my journal folder automatically, so I don't have to move them. It also uses my daily template automatically, so I don't have to activate it. And it opens my daily note on startup. So tomorrow, when I open up Obsidian, it will automatically add today's daily note to the journal folder and add the template. So when we look at my journal folder, you can see there are all the notes. I haven't had to move them, they just go there automatically. But you will notice in the past, I used a different format and I had different things in my daily note. So previously I had this going on. I had last updated. I used to have an audio journal that I put into my daily note, but now I do that on Patreon. And you can see I started using the daily note on the 1st of January 2021. So that's over a year ago now. So I've got lots of journal notes. I did try using weekly notes, which is what you'll see in the weekly reviews folder, but I didn't stick with it because I never used the weekly note really for anything, which is why I stopped using it. Now, when we have a look at my daily template, the template that the core plugin is using every day, you can see there's a bit of code at the top. And this is using the Templater community plugin. I do have a blog explaining all of this. I'll leave it in the description below. But what this is doing is automatically looking at yesterday's day, today's day, and then tomorrow's day, making those links and putting them at the top of the page. So for today, it's taken the 11th, the 12th because that's the day, and then 13, but that's not been created yet because it's not tomorrow yet, obviously. And I've done something similar with the actions data view. So in the daily template, we have today's date, but today's date is always going to change. So I want my daily template to be specific to the day. I don't want it to have the updated dynamic version in all of my journals, which means I need to put today in the where created clause, and I also need to put it in here as well, so it's now looking for that week specifically. So when I head back to my daily note today, you can see 2022 9/12. That is the date today, and that is what this little bit of code is doing. I then have a capture template, which is unplanned capturing of a video somewhere on my phone or downstairs or anywhere else where I can't use Zotero for whatever reason, and I want to make sure that I have the note source tag in the note. My video project template for when I'm adding a new video, I'll use the tags for project, content, video, so I don't have to do that manually. Deadline, so the property information is there for me to add. Done false because I haven't completed it because I've just created it. I then have preset tasks for video, so record, edit, upload, publish. At this point in time, I have 2 data view queries, one for all of the tasks in the page, so it looks for tasks, where contains file link. This is the page that we're going to be creating, so if I create a page called video test, this will say video test, where tasks are incomplete, sorted by priority, created and then due. And then I have related actions, which is basically the same thing, but is looking for outlinks instead. So if the task isn't in this page and is in another page in my vault, it will then show in this query. As an example, I've got my daily note. I've added a test task that's got Vaultcraft 3 linked. I then go to that page and you can see I've got record, edit, upload, publish from the task down here. And in the related actions, it's just got that one task I created. What this means is I can add a task anywhere in my vault and it will show up in the appropriate page. My blog project template is exactly the same queries, but I've got write and publish instead down as the bottom, and then I've got the blog tag at the top instead. The project template is more of like a blank template where it doesn't have a video or a blog, and it's still got the actions, but it doesn't have any preset to-dos because it's just a project of who knows what. My research template is the template that I use for all of my main working notes. Now, I rarely use this now because I don't have many big new topics, but when some of the bigger pages do need to be condensed, which I'll go through in a second, then I use this template, which has note working at the top, and then my outline that is consistent throughout my vault. My Zotero template is probably the most complicated in my vault. It brings in the information from Zotero from an export. So it brings in the year of the video, the podcast, the blog, or the article, then adds the tag note source so I don't have to do it, brings in the authors, and if it's a video or podcast, brings in the directors, brings in the title of the content, the URL, a link to the Zotero, so if it's a blog article, it will link me to my highlighted blog article that I got in Zotero. And what all this is doing is bringing in the highlights from the note that's in Zotero. I will link a card above my face that explains this process a little bit clearer, but that's roughly what this note does. A people note for tagging people, so they are normally content creators or people that I'm interested in researching. I have a low priority, medium priority, and high priority template. A due template, so this is using the same code as all of the other templates before with the today's date, but it's got an emoji at the front with a calendar because that's the due emoji for the date of view query tasks. And then a today template inside of here, which is exactly the same, just a different emoji. When I go into templater, all of those templates are actually down here. So you can see you can add a template hotkey to any of the templates inside of your template folder. In the core plugin, you can't do this, but in this plugin you can. And what I've done is I've then added a hotkey to each of these templates, which means I can add a task. I can go Control dot to add, I've created this today, Control slash to add today's due date, and then I can change the date if I need to, and then Control Alt 1, 2, or 3, or high, low, or medium priority. In my main working notes, this is where I spend most of my time researching and understanding certain topics, concepts, and ideas. Feel free to have a look through that list in your own time. The link will be in description. But at the top of the page, I have a synopsis, which is my synopsis that I've written around this page with links to sections of the page. So behaviorism is a section in the page. So if I middle click on my mouse, it takes me to that section in a new pane. But when I'm working in one of these notes, I'll have it up twice, maybe even 3 or 4 times on my other screen. So if I want to go to a section, because I've pinned this page, I can click here and it will take me to that section in the other panel. Looking over to the right panel, you can see we've got synopsis, links, points, other references, to do, and references as that template from the research template, but we've also got other information, so cognitive psychology, cognitive neuropsychology, neuroscience, neuroimaging, etc., and I can go to each of those sections. If we take the cognitive psychology section as an example, we can see I've got different blocks. So I have a bolded word or a couple of words to identify what the block is about, in this case, cognitive psychology. And this entire block is talking specifically about cognitive psychology and what it is. It then links out to other related areas, so attention, learning, memory, language, etc. But I'm not just linking out to other working pages like here, I'm also linking to other blocks, so strengths. Now, yes, in this case, strengths is right underneath it, but if I'm block referencing this, so for example up here, now I'm looking at cognitive psychology, well, if I want to have a look at the strengths, I can't see the strengths because it's a block reference, but if I hover over strengths, now I have it here. So from the top of the page at the synopsis, I go cognitive psychology. What are the strengths of cognitive psychology? Strengths are, etc. And this right here is a source note. So these are one of those sources that I've linked to this working note, and I have it referenced as a footnote. So this is the footnote style, the hat, I think. Single brackets, and then because it is a page in my vault, I have it as a linked page in my vault so I can see exactly what's going on. And what this means is whenever I have a point, topic, idea, concept that I have a source for, whether that's a video, blog, article, podcast, I can source it inside of my working note. Inside of the reading view, it shows a number because it's an inline footnote. So it's still in the same section. This is exactly what I was just looking at, but it's now a number. If I click on it, it will take me to the reference down the bottom of the page. And in this page, I've got a fair few references. Then you can click on the arrow to go back to where the reference was. And this is what you'll see in my Obsidian Publish if you have a look through my notes. By coming down to the bottom of the screen and then going back to live preview, I can then see what that actually is. So this is live preview showing me all of that information rather than the number. Now, all of those sources and working notes are in my notes folder, every single one of them, all 3,878 of them. And the reason this is beneficial, one, because that plugin I showed you at the beginning looks for a folder and gives you all of the notes in there, so I can search through essentially my entire notes vault. But it also means that any new note, so any new source note, any new capture note, any new working note, any new note that I make goes into this folder by default. Going into settings, file and links, you can see in the folder specified below is notes. So all the new notes go to the notes folder. And in the same sense, all of the new images, so when I take a screenshot of a video, they all go to the notes image folder. So I don't have to sort any of my notes. They just go to the folders that they need to. The starred pane next to the tags is where I have the pages that I go to most often. At the moment is the data view test page, which is where I test loads of different queries out, but it's where I'm going to have all of my database views when I've sorted this out, because you can see it's not quite working. So there are a couple of bugs with the plugin, which is why I say I'm planning to use it, but I'm not using it entirely. So it's kind of like a caveat, but it's certainly extremely powerful when it works. So the goal in the future would be to have video view, blog view, other view, all of those different database views saved in the starred panel so I can click on them and see what's going on rather than going to my daily note, but that's something for the future. As an example of the vision of how I see this working, you can see here I've added a star property. Now if I go into the Caracorta page, you can see there's the property, there's the stars. And what this is it's a tag property or a select property like you would see in Notion. And if I click on the 2, it's changed that to 2. So I go back to here, now it's changed the 2, and that's how it works. I can add another property, I can get rid of it, and I can do loads of changes. But what this means is I can have a look down here, I can sort by this, sort ascending or descending, I can hide, change the settings, etc. But I can come into here, look at what pages I have high quality, low quality, looking at values, looking at the things I need to do. So I need to add information into the apps and gear page. I have 3 different pages or sources. Let's have a look. What's that? If I push control, yeah, so I've got loads of notes here that I want to have a look through for the cognitive load theory page. And I can use this dashboard as my working page, as my working dashboard to see what I want to work on, what I want to research, what I want to explore more. And by going into the settings, at the moment it's set to 10, but I can show, let's say 200. It's going to take a while because I've got 200, but yeah, it's now going to show all of my notes at the moment. I think it's no, I don't have any sort on there. I was going to say it's alphabetical, but it's not. But I will be able to go down these pages, see the sources that I want to go into more depth on to include in the page, or any questions that I have in the page I can add into the data view query because it's picking it up automatically, the tasks here. And again, this is me thinking ahead, but every page has information that's automatically added. So the amount of words, the file size, the links, outgoing, ingoing, and I can show those pieces of information as a column. And I can say, okay, this page is a big page, maybe it's too big and I need to make it smaller. So for example, cognitive load theory. If I decide cognitive architecture is actually a massive section and deserves its own page, I can right click, extract this heading, and it would turn it into a page by itself, which is the Note Composer core plugin inside of Obsidian. It's native. But I will be able to identify the large pages in here much easier. I will then be able to see which pages are linked to what, and I will be able to quickly go through all of the pages and see all the information that I would need. And of course, I don't need to have these things shown, so I can actually see more columns and go left, right, up, down, in and out. You know what I'm talking about. And for those of you that either lasted this long or skipped to this part of the video, I am planning on doing an audio plugin at some point, a community plugin. I'm planning on building it, first time for everything. And what I want to do is add sound effects to my vault to make it a little bit more fun. So if you have any ideas, I've had some conversations in the Discord about adding PlayStation 2 audio, different game audio into playing the game. So Minecraft is something that I watch quite heavily, and when you open a chest, you get like the creaking sound, and I'm thinking of adding sounds into my Obsidian to bring out a different environment rather than just a static typing app. But yeah, that's something for the future. If you have any thoughts, do let me know in the comment section below.